What's up guys, my name is Stoody and I'd like to welcome you all back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my round 10 tips for the 2023 AFL season. So before we get into this week's tips, I'm going to tell you guys how I went last week. So last week I had a pretty decent week. I got 7 out of 9 correct tips and I am now on 61 correct tips for the season in total, and I've moved up to about 1100th in the world ranking, so I am doing very good this year in the tipping. So let's go ahead and see the 2 games I got wrong. They were that I tipped Geelong to beat Richmond, and I also tipped Sydney to beat Fremantle. Yeah, I feel like I should have just took the gamble and went Fremantle. I had a strong feeling Fremantle were gonna get the win there. Anyway, let's just get into this week's tips. So on Friday night we have Port Adelaide taking on Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval. I'm going to be doing Melbourne in this one by 11 points. Now this one is going to be a pretty close one. Melbourne are in some pretty decent form, although they have beaten some shitty teams over the past couple of weeks, whereas Port have won 6 in a row and like no one's really talking about them. But since they're on this massive win streak, Port, you feel like they're due for a loss. So that's why I've tipped against them this week. But then again, you can easily see Port winning because it is at their home ground. So I'm going to go Melbourne because I think Melbourne are the better team and Port are due to a loss. Moving on to Saturday afternoon, we have North Melbourne taking on Sydney at Marvel Stadium. I'm going to be tipping Sydney in this one by 26 points. Sydney are desperate for a win. They've got an easy game. If they were versing anyone half decent, I would have tipped against Sydney because they're in some deep shit. I've been saying all year Sydney are overrated and they are proving it now. So I think Sydney will win, but they will have some issues beating North Melbourne. Moving on to the other Saturday game, we have Western Bulldogs taking on Adelaide at Mars Stadium. I wonder if everyone eats even Mars bars at that ground. But anyway, I'm going to be tipping the Western Bulldogs in this one by 22 points. I know Adelaide beat the Dogs there last year in a massive upset, but really the Dogs, they're in some really good form. They're definitely better than Adelaide, so they should be able to get the job done against the Crows this time around, because last year they had some serious chemistry issues, whereas this year things are going a bit more smoother for them, so the Dogs should be able to win this. Moving on to Saturday Twilight, we have Fremantle taking on Geelong at Optus Stadium. I'm going to be tipping Fremantle to win this one by 19 points. Geelong, severely overrated. They're basically fucked. They have no depth. Couldn't even beat a VFL team last week. Go the Tigers. And Fremantle, on the other hand, were able to get the upset win against the Swans. They've got themselves back into some form and they're at home against a struggling Geelong. And I think Fremantle will be able to get the job done in this one. I don't understand why only 18% have tipped Fremantle. There's a lot of idiots in the AFL community, but Fremantle I think will win this one and prove once again that Geelong are just overrated. Moving on to Saturday night, we have the Q Clash. We have Brisbane taking on Gold Coast at the Gabba. I'm going to be giving Brisbane in this one by 47 points. Brisbane are in some good form. So are Gold Coast, but Brisbane have a really good record against the Suns. They have a tendency to smash the Suns, and this is at Brisbane's home ground. Brisbane, they're a top team. Gold Coast are trying desperately to finally make the finals. So Brisbane should be able to get the job done here against the Suns, and they should win comfortably. Moving on to the other Saturday night game, we've got Match of the Ground. We have Essendon taking on Richmond at the MCG, Dreamtime at the G. I'm going to be tipping Richmond in this one by 37 points. Now this is a game of the round because it's the Dreamtime game, but I don't think it'll be a good game for neutrals, but it should be a good game for Richmond fans, as Richmond are back into some good form. Still playing our VFL side, but we are in some good form, whereas Essendon, they've lost 4 in a row. And, you know, I've been saying Essendon is severely overrated. They're not that good. And they've lost 4 in a row. That proves it. So that's why I'm tipping Richmond. Richmond are clearly the better team despite having a VFL side for this game. Not only that, Essendon are Richmond's bitches. Essendon have not beaten Richmond in 9 years, and I'm expecting that to continue here on Saturday night. Moving on to Sunday, we have the Battle of the Wooden Spoon at UTAS Stadium. It is Hawthorn taking on West Coast. Now who the fuck cares? This game will make absolutely no impact on ladder positions, except for I guess who ends up drafting Harley Reid. So I'm going to be tipping Hawthorn in this one. by 28 points. They're better than West Coast. It'd be pretty embarrassing to lose to West Coast. I think West Coast are the clear worst team in the league. And then there's Daylight, and then you've got Hawthorn as the second worst. Then there's more Daylight, and you've got all the rest of the competition. These two teams are just so bad, especially West Coast. And Hawthorn should be able to go out and get the win here. Hawthorn have not been anywhere near as useless as West Coast. So Hawthorn easily. The other Sunday afternoon game, we have Carlton taking on Collingwood at the MCG. Now, I'm going to be doing Collingwood in this one by 25 points. Collingwood, they've had a pretty good recent record against Carlton. They beat them twice last year, and I'm expecting Collingwood to be able to do it again. You know, Collingwood have two really easy games after this Carlton game as well, so they're going to be pretty difficult to beat throughout the rest of this season. Collingwood are on top of the ladder. Carlton, you know, showing they're just mediocre, and I wouldn't be surprised if Carlton just missed the 8 again this year. So I think Collingwood, better game plan, better coach, better everything, really. Moving on to Sunday Twilight, we have the GWS Giants taking on St Kilda at Giants Stadium. I'm going to be doing St Kilda in this one by 8 points. St Kilda were pathetic against the Crows last week. Didn't expect them to get absolutely annihilated like that. And that just shows how overrated St Kilda really are. I wouldn't be surprised if they do lose this one to the Giants. But you think surely they bounce back after that embarrassing game against the Crows. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment for more content like this. Be sure to leave your tips in the comment section if you'd like. Be sure to join my Discord server. It is called Australian Sports Community. Link to that is in the description. Also be sure to subscribe to my second YouTube channel. It is called Stoody Archives. Link to that will be in the description. Also be sure to follow me on my other social media accounts. I have Instagram, I have Twitter, and I also have TikTok. The username for all of those is StoodyYT, and links to all of those will also be in the description. I hope you all had a good day, and I'll see you all in the next video.